The investigation into the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump continues. There are a lot of unanswered questions this morning. And joining me now is former FBI agent Ross Rice. Good morning and thanks for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, the shooter's now dead and former President Trump is now in Milwaukee for the Republican National Convention this week. Where does this investigation go from here and what agency actually leads that investigation?
The Secret Service is responsible for protection of the president, or in this case, the former president. But the FBI has responsibility to investigate threats against a candidate of the president, or in this case, an actual attack. So the FBI is leading the investigation, but they're doing so in close coordination with the Secret Service and local law enforcement officials in Pennsylvania.
And Ross, there are many reports that the shooter gained access to a rooftop less than 200 yards away. Just how does this get overlooked?
Well, that's a great question, and I hope we'll get answers to that. They do a site survey anytime the president, or in this case, the former president, are going to be doing a public appearance. And the whole purpose of that is to ensure security and determine what needs to be covered, how big a security corridor do you need to have. Obviously, something was overlooked here in this case, and hopefully they'll get answers to it. We'll see. It's not going to happen overnight.
You mentioned security. This obviously happened at an outdoor rally. That's going to be harder to control than an indoor environment. Do you think we could possibly see a pause on outdoor events for the time going forward?
Well, we're in the middle of a presidential election campaign, and I don't think that we're going to see much of a pause. I think we're going to see heightened security and more attention to detail and closer consideration of what type of venue to have for these events. It's just not normal for a presidential candidate not to go out and campaign and have public appearances and meet with the people and the voters. It is going to chill things a little bit, I think, but nothing that can't be overcome.
And we briefly mentioned the Secret Service is in charge of these providing security for these types of events. They're obviously under fire for what happened over the weekend. What kind of investigation are they going to face?
Well, they're going to conduct their own internal inquiry. I'm sure the investigation into the actual attack itself, which the FBI is coordinating, will come up with facts, answers to some of the questions, and it appears that Congress, with their oversight authority, is going to have a separate investigation as well, probably starting this week. Hopefully they're productive, and it will prevent an incident like this from happening again.
And we have the RNC starting today in Milwaukee, and obviously the DNC happening here in Chicago next month. How does the events of this weekend maybe change how they're preparing their security efforts for both of those events?
I don't think it's going to change the security efforts very much. The two events are completely separate. What we had over the weekend in Pennsylvania, as you pointed out, was an outdoor event. Much harder to establish and maintain security there. The event this week in Milwaukee and next month in Chicago are indoors. Much easier to control access, much easier to control what's being brought into the convention sites. I think, if anything, it's going to give the people involved in the actual planning and the security officials an impetus to be more vigilant. I think they're going to be on a higher level of alert because of what's happened, but I don't think it's going to change the planning materially.
Ross Rice, thanks so much for your time and for joining us this morning.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.